So Mu Legend went into closed beta yesterday on the 25th. With more than like 100,000 keys floating around on different websites, there's no reason you shouldn't have got in, unless you didn't want to play it. But if you did get in and you tried the game the day the beta went live, you probably would have or did stop playing it. Like a lot of closed betas, they had problems with the servers, players looting items and dungeons but it taking 5 minutes to actually pick them up. Changing equipment took about a minute just to switch weapons. Pretty much anything you did took a few minutes to load. Especially when going into a new area, you'd have to wait like 5 to 10 minutes for the mobs and NPCs to load in. And if you moved around a bit before things loaded in, you might die to a pack of mobs once they do. And if you have no stones to resurrect, well, it's time to wait for everything to load again. And this was a pain in the ass. Now this is a first impressions, and of course, these server issues affected my first impressions, but I wanted to give the game another chance because it's actually pretty fun. And luckily, today they fixed those server issues, so I played for another hour or two. I believe I got to around level 17, and I'm sure I could have ended at a higher level, but this is my second character because they created a new server when things weren't looking so good. So I made a new character on the new server, hoping this would fix things and give me a better experience. But it didn't. Now keep in mind this is a first impressions and early game / early closed beta review. So a lot of the features and things I speak of are subject to change. And of course I didn't experience the end game, and who knows, it could be amazing. So from the start, when creating your character, you have 5 classes to choose from. This is a Korean game, so it's no surprise that they are gender locked. 3 male classes being the Dark Lord, who can use a one-hander and a shield, or a two-hander weapon, and specializes in party buffs and AoEs. The Blader, who uses giant blades and specializes in quick charge skills and crowd control. They also have very high mobility, allowing them to function as a melee DPS and frontline tank. The War Mage is your magic DPS class, and then you have your 2 female classes being the Whisperer, aka the Archer, and then you have the Emphasizer, which was not available during the CBT, but she appears to be another ranged DPS. She can freely manipulate weapons to make ranged attacks, or she can stun or mind control a small group of targets. She actually sounds like a pretty cool class, and I wanted to choose her, but since she wasn't available, I went with the Dark Lord because I like using two-handers. The actual customization isn't really anything special, a few presets to choose from for the face, hairstyles, and skin tone. Face and body tattoos, and that's pretty much it. I chose the other race of the Dark Lord, and that had even less customization. Once you get put into the game, you get some cool cutscenes. And then whatever class you chose, you get to play them as if you were at the end game. Having access to most, if not all of your skills, being decked out in equipment, this introduction just gets you used to the controls and combat of your class, which is cool because maybe here you'll find out you don't really like your class's playstyle and might want to switch. The graphics are pretty nice, and there's a lot going on here, like dragons flying around, enemies fighting in the background, platforms falling. It's pretty cool. After the intro, you get placed in the main city and back to a fetus form of your character. Goodbye to all those cool skills. The questing is pretty generic. Go kill a few mobs, go back to the NPC and turn in. What I did like was how massive some of these areas were. So no, this game is not open world. Areas are instance, but some of them are super huge. If there's too many players in an area stealing mobs, there's tons of channels you can switch to. Also, the optimization of this game was pretty good. Of course, you got frame drops and things weren't as smooth in the main city, but sometimes I did experience frame drops here and there while just questing or destroying mobs. But the client never just randomly closed on me and I never got DC'd, so overall it was pretty good. There's also Rift dungeons, and if you aren't familiar with this, it's pretty much an instance full of mobs, mini bosses, but overall just a ton of enemies that can drop rare loot. These are important for gearing and farming magic gems, which can be used to buy costumes, mounts, wings, and possibly other stuff. You also gain some pretty good experience, and you make a lot of money here as well. Speaking of wings, back in the intro our characters had wings. Wings are in the game and a part of gearing your character. I do believe they have stats, as there is a wing merchant who can grow and evolve your wings in the main city. At first I thought it might just be cosmetic. I do like the skill progression in this game. Your skills gain experience the more you use them. You can unlock different perks for your skills, which is pretty cool. So as you max out your skills, you unlock different perks. You can also spec your characters with points you receive every time you level. More attack damage, more crit rate, more crit damage, and the more points you put into these different stat bonuses, you unlock certain perks. For example, increasing your attack eventually will unlock a bonus that gives you a huge increase in attack damage. So I would recommend speccing into one area first until you unlock a perk instead of splitting up your points from the start. Also, you can reset your points, but it seems quite expensive. It might get more expensive the more points you have, so spec wisely. Unless you just don't give a shit. The dungeons in this game were okay. I didn't really find them special. Very similar to any other top-down Diablo-like dungeon crawler game I've played, but you don't have like a dodge or roll in this game. Maybe other classes do, but getting out of AoEs is just moving your mouse to a safer area. This felt kind of boring to me. I prefer when the bosses use quick skills and give you a very short time to react. But you have the option to do something fast like a dash or side roll. Not in here though. The game was fun, bloody, hordes of mobs to destroy, but overall a very generic hack and slash MMORPG, like Diablo, like Divillion, Hero Wars, and so on. Fast-paced combat, but generic instance areas with quest and generic dungeons. You have your Rift instances just like you do in Diablo. I don't really see this game bringing anything new to the table. For me, it might be a good game to pass the time until the next big MMO, or something I could jump into when my other games are patching, but I don't think this will keep my attention for long. Again though, this is just the first impressions. The end game might be crazy, the bosses and mechanics could be epic. Maybe I'll keep playing this game and I'll find that out. And if so, I might cover it again, but for now it's just another generic top-down dungeon crawler. So let me know what you guys think about this game. Have you played it? Do you plan on giving it a try? Are you in love with it? Did you hate it? Let me know. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you soon, friends.